Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlicker shells, destabilizing spassels, Iraqis, Kurds. I'm a useful idiot. And today I want to update you on the standoff in between Iraq and the Kurdish region, the autonomous Kurdish region in Iraq. So, ostensibly a face-off between Iraq and Kurdistan. I did a video about tensions rising there and a confrontation back in December. And I just want to update that. And so I'm going to go over some information, and some of it may duplicate things I said there, but I have a few more details now, and a couple more events have happened that should be noted because it ups the ante a little bit in this tense situation. Because whether Iraq and Kurdistan will go to war or not is debatable, because certainly there's lots of profits available for oil for everyone if they can come to some peaceful arrangements between Baghdad and the Kurdish government. So we shall see, because now there's events taking place that show that there might be some other policies at work in Iraq. So first of all, let me update you on where we were at. So back in November, we had a gas station shootout. And that kind of set things off. A gas station shootout in Kirkuk. And this is in the disputed region between Kurdistan and Iraq. And then in December, we had an Iraqi helicopter shot at by Kurdish forces. So that escalated things a little more. And now, most recently, we have, as of February 3rd, there was a suicide bomb blast that killed and wounded 130. And this is one of the factors that I think may show a shift in strategy in this situation. What the actual agenda is in Iraq right now, because as we speak, we have 30,000 Kurdish forces facing 30,000 Iraqi forces in and around Kirkuk, and anything could set this off. It's certainly in the best interest of both Kurdistan and Iraq at this point to avoid any confrontation. But both are ready. In fact, Maliki was quoted as saying, quote, "I'm going to fight them. I will use force to prevent them from working in the disputed area," unquote. And I mentioned that in the last video. They said all they have to do is drill or find themselves in an exchange of fire, and we could have another war on our hands. And 66 billion barrels of oil are at stake in Iraq. And so to fill in a little bit of history and some more details about what is going on in this situation, with the fall of Saddam, the Kurds claimed the right to negotiate separate contracts with foreign oil companies and drill in these disputed areas. And these disputed areas are historically claimed by Kurdistan and probably are technically part of Kurdistan, going back at least to the 20s and during the Ottoman Empire, and that's probably what they're basing the claims on. And the Baghdad Iraqi claims on that area probably stem from more recent history, so the Kurds probably have a legitimate claim. And so in 2004, Kurdistan opened up drilling to these foreign companies, and they really sweetened the pot, because Kurdistan is landlocked, so it's not really that cost-effective to drill in Kurdistan. Right now, they ship 70,000 barrels a day by trucks through Turkey, and Iraq has threatened to cut off that supply. But they sweeten the deal because for the Iraqi government allows profits of only $1.50 per barrel to the oil companies that drill there and operate there. But Kurdistan allows $30 per barrel in profits, 30 times what the Iraqi government does. So there's a lot of incentive there, and over 50 international companies, oil companies, have signed separate contracts with Kurdistan. And I think that brings up an important point too, the fact that over 50 international oil companies have signed deals with Kurdistan with the future promise of lucrative oil exploration and results. And in a very unstable situation, and it's very telling to me, because what it suggests is that this gives us a really good clue as to how oil companies and energy companies get involved in our American U.S. foreign policy. For instance, if anything were to make this arrangement with Kurdistan more attractive to them than their Iraqi government contracts, then oil companies could influence our foreign policy enough to make a war with Kurdistan likely, so that they could reap the benefits of a completely independent Kurdistan state, if that's what it takes to get at the oil. And that's what I'm trying to say. So I think that's very telling. It's also the same way that it works in Africa, where we have oil companies working in very, very unstable countries like Nigeria. And how could it not influence our foreign policy constantly? How could they not be corporate wars? How could they not be oil wars? Like, as I mentioned in another video, a scenario where we have 20,000 U.S. troops in the Niger Delta in Nigeria in order to protect oil fields. So, and much the way when we went into Iraq, that was one of the first goals too, was to protect the oil fields. But anyway, I digress. So, anyway, now we have the Kurds being reliant on Baghdad because the Iraqi constitution says that Baghdad controls all oil exports of Iraq, and Kurdistan's government runs almost exclusively on 17% of the national oil revenue in Iraq. So Kurdistan really depends on Baghdad. So there's nothing really to replace it now. That's another reason why Kurdish autonomy and negotiation is more likely in the short and long run, because it serves Kurdistan's interests, because they don't have other revenue sources really to speak of. And so that said, you can never predict these events. Something could set it off, and hostilities could commence. And it seems more likely to me now, hearing about these sectarian violence that's happening now, and the suicide blasts and bombings. It could point to the fact that some bad actor involved in this situation, and it could be just about anybody, is interested in destabilizing the situation and causing hostilities to open up and to press this process so that perhaps there is a war between Iraq and Kurdistan and a Kurdish state is created. But those bad actors could be anyone. It could be any combination of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the United States, Israel, and or any of the other bad actors. But I want to finish with a quote from a soldier on the front lines in Kurdistan who said that, quote, "We do not want a fight, but if we have to fight, we will defeat the Iraqi army," unquote. And I have to say I would completely agree with him. The fact of the matter is, Kurdistan has been autonomous for quite some time here, nearly a decade. And if you include the free-fly zone, the no-fly zone that America put over and guarded the Kurdish territory, they've had a long time to build their military to a very effective fighting force, and they're extremely motivated. They are well armed. The U.S. has made them that way, and they are much more motivated and driven force, and I think they could very easily prevail over a certainly much less motivated Iraqi army. And the irony of that, if that were to occur, to have an Iraqi army trained and armed by the United States fighting a Kurdish army trained and armed by the United States. So let's keep our eyes on this situation. Anything could happen, really. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.